paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe, and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, yeah, it's downright refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And
I
yes,
don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Brainstorm Brewery. The sun is out. We are recording at a beautiful 2:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am thriving in my lane.
I just woke up.
At the height of my awareness and mental physique. So you are going to get some top quality Corbin-less content here. I believe he is still out frolicking in the tulip fields of Amsterdam, or something we already...
That's why people go to Amsterdam, for the tulips. And then Holland's like,
That what they call it.
You can go to other places in Holland. I was like, I can't name another city in Holland.
I thought Holland was a city.
Oh, good point. I'm embarrassing myself. I don't know anything about geology.
Milk Hotel song?
Amsterdam, 1942. Never heard it. Is that the one about semen on the mountaintops?
No, that's O Comely, I think.
No, it's not even. Every song on that album is...
That's the joke. These jokes are for nobody.
These jokes are for everybody who has listened to In an Airplane Over the Sea in an attempt to like sound smart at a party, which is all of us.
Okay.
You guys are going to parties?
I'm drinking a beer that no longer exists because the brewery stopped paying taxes. You got to pay those taxes, dog.
Hell yeah, tax evasion beer.
I mean, they got Wesley sniped. They didn't get away with it. It was tax avoidance, not evasion.
Sure.
Tax avoidance was like, I wasn't trying to evade. I was just trying to avoid them. I put them off for a little while. What's this? A 50% late fee? Yeah, that's fair. I was threatened with a 50% late fee by the IRS, who made me pay with a paper check. Because I owed them a lot of money. And I thought, since I've been paying them every single quarter, like the amount I used to pay in taxes, I pay them every quarter now. So to get a like, hey, you owe us money notice was nice. The IRS.
Governmental grievances aside.
I'll be like, listen, IRS, I'll give you 10 times this amount if you hire 5 guys and their whole job is to make Mark Zuckerberg pay his taxes. Give them guns. Give them also bigger guns. Give them badges. Airdrop them into Hawaii at gunpoint. Let them look through that guy's personal books. Let's find out.
Did you know that Mark Zuckerberg is using the island he owns in Hawaii to grow like a new breed of cow that only he is allowed to eat?
Yes. I did know that because my brother lives in Hawaii and they all hate him.
No, DJ, it's not awesome. It's actually unconscionable and monstrous. He bought the land for pennies on the dollar from natives. Now is causing massive amounts of environmental destruction. He's using more water than full cities use per day to raise like 120 cows.
Oh, you're talking about the real world. This isn't a metaverse cow. I'm sorry.
Correct. Yeah, this isn't Second Life.
No, metaverse is actually a huge environmental cost too because it's completely fucking worthless, but it uses a non-trivial amount of electricity.
There was a time about 2 weeks ago when I was kind of worried about the Virginia power grid because a lot of the AI servers are here. But now I'm not worried about it.
Yep.
It's been a really bad 2 weeks for AI. I mean, it's always been a bad 2 weeks for AI, but it's been uniquely bad for the last couple of weeks.
AI sucks.
Nvidia stocks are going down about as fast as stocks can.
It was the most overvalued stock. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Speaking of stocks, our breaking bulks are brought to you by MTGstocks, and they're also brought to you by Pika Stocks and Lorcana Stocks and probably Star Wars Stocks, I think. If you play a TCG and it has the element of capitalism, then you should be asking MTGstocks on Twitter to get your version of stocks.
And then he'll be like, yeah, there's no data.
There's always
Well,
data
present
on
something
TCG
anyways. That is
Listen,
true.
if TCG Player has listings for old history textbooks, which they do, then they can have listings for your terrible 80s anime card game.
Can I get a stocks website for Battle Spirits Saga by Bandai?
What's the Y-Cross, W-Cross, X-Cross?
Yeah. Well, Battle Spirit Saga is the one that MSRP on boxes is $100, and you can regularly buy them for $30 on TCG Player.
Oof.
Is it a good game?
No, clearly.
Well, you can get like Ninja Turtles trading card game cards for cheap. That doesn't mean that game's bad. It's very good.
This is now a Ninja Turtles card game podcast. My favorite is Raphael.
Now, Michelangelo's the one where you can like discard a card to make him do an additional 3 damage with like this. He has like this nunchuck attack where he just swings his nunchucks around as long as you have cards to pitch. It's broken. I was like, nobody who ever touched this game had played Magic before. This was 5 Japanese like guys with MBAs like, go design a card game.
And I will grab the handle of those nunchucks, throw them out the window, and then use my other hand to grab the steering wheel of the bus, much like Speed, and turn us back on correct course. I will give you
The
hints
handle
that
of the nunchucks? They're
Yeah.
all handle.
So I can't.
That's
go
what
wrong.
they
Not
are.
the
They're
chain.
hand.
What? He's saying he's not going to grab the chain, okay?
Why would you
Yeah.
use a chain?
There's a chain between
On
the handles.
on the
No,
nunchucks.
you should use a rope. A chain is going to get like kinked. It's going to like you're going to
but
be
a
trying to
chain
do
is way
something.
cooler.
It
A
is,
chain
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess.
What do you have, like a nylon jump rope nunchuck? No, you want like a chain.
I don't want a
You want
chain.
the
I just
sound.
told you.
It makes a cool sound too.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like putting a baseball card between the spokes of your bicycle.
Yeah, but when you're walking around with them stuffed in your pants, you know?
You're not going to hear
in
the
case
jingle
something
because
you would.
all
It
the
sounds like
other-
you got a chain wallet and people just start
Jason,
talking to
if
you about
you-
their
if-
favorite Nickelback song. And
Jason, if you're walking around with nunchucks, you already are wearing 16 belts, and those are going to make most of the noise.
I don't.
I just
I only
wear
need one
my
belt.
Jinkos when I
It's
carry my nunchucks.
my red belt. I got a red belt in Taekwondo from a mini mall, and now I'm allowed to
were-
carry nunchucks. See, my
Jason, when
fists
you were-
are registered as deadly weapons because I got a red belt in Taekwondo from a strip mall. My fists and my left foot, my right foot, not so good. My left foot's a deadly weapon, but nunchucks, I didn't have to register as those deadly weapons, so that's why I carry them around. I'd hate to.
During your training to get your
Taekwondo
red
something.
belt, Jason, I assume you broke some boards, just like we're about to break
Oh, yeah.
some bulk. Yeah!
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh yeah, breaking bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
Hia. 7 hias in increasing intensity.
I don't think they say Heian Taekwondo. That sounds like a karate noise. What did they say in Taekwondo? I'm asking
They
you
say-
because you're Korean.
They say Zendikar Rising Uncommon. That is loosely Ninja Turtle themed.
I assume it's an MDFC.
No, it is not. It only has one. So that's how it's not nunchuck related. Is nunchucks have like 2 sides? This only has one side.
Gotcha. Is it Brushfire Elemental? Did you say what color it is?
It's blue.
It's blue.
Blue Uncommon from Zendikar Rising.
It's probably a rogue. Is it like the 1/1 flyer that you can sack to draw a card?
No.
Is it a creature?
Yes.
Is it? Is it the Merfolk or the
Oh,
flyer?
it's Ruin Crab?
It is Ruin Crab.
Oh,
I hid it in
Ruin
I
Crab.
hid
That's
it in
so
plain
obvious.
sight.
Yeah.
It is Ninja Turtle adjacent because they both have shells.
So do corporations.
Ruin Crab
Teenage
is
Mutant Ninja Corpse.
the Hedron Crab retrain. A couple of differences is that it has 1 larger toughness and that it cannot target yourself, but it does target each opponent. So probably better in Commander. Worse.
It
in
doesn't
Modern.
target. It affects each opponent, but it doesn't target them. That's
Sure.
It's true.
so it gets around like, hey, you can't target me.
Yes, it does get around Player Shroud. Ruin Crab is a few bucks. It's always just going to be that. It's a very frequent staple. I also picked this just for the opportunity to point out Hedron Crab, its predecessor from original Zendikar, has been occasionally floating a direct premium of like $14.
Yep.
A piece?
Yeah.
Why?
What's the last
It's
reprint on that? Mystery Booster?
Yeah, its only reprint is the list, really.
I believe it was Mystery Booster proper, wasn't it?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, TCG low on regular Hedron Crab is approaching $9, and direct low is frequently 13 or 14. So the little guy is better than ever. Has been a breaking bulk staple since 2009.
Well,
Ruined
I
Crab
think
is also in there.
Fallout was like the first time I actually ever wanted to mill somebody in EDH because of rad counters.
Sure.
Like it actually, like you can actually interact with milling them by proliferating, which is amazing.
Yeah, so right now there is one direct copy of Hedron Crab for $8. The next most affordable one is $17.
So buy the $8 one and sell it for $15.
Yeah.
That is an option, but
I will say also Hedron Crab is a card that is likely poised to have an uptick in play if we see some changes happen to Modern, because notably it works really well with Vengevine and Psychic Frog stuff, and it is a blue creature for Flare of Denial. There was a player playing at the PT who, despite the incredibly hostile metagame, I believe X3'd Modern with a blue-black like Dredgevine deck. Hedron Crab being able to mill yourself is super important, so it's the kind of card that like it doesn't take a lot for demand to increase on it, and the supply is not increasing anytime soon.
Plus, Hedron Crab is a 1-drop, and that's great in a Vengevine deck.
Yeah.
So it's not just like dog shit drawn late, I mean.
Right.
That's solid. I don't have a quite that. I went with different criteria for my pick this week. This is more of a breaking bulk of the week, but I went to Cardsphere to see what like the most traded card this week, and the second most traded card is from Modern Horizons 3. It's a red common.
You're Corbining this week. I'm not gonna.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's
I'm gonna get
is
this.
kind of unfair.
Is it Galvanic
okay.
Discharge?
No, it's common. It's a sorcery.
Common sorcery from Modern Horizons 3? Must not be very good and constructed if I don't know it.
I'm gonna cheat and try
It's
to
Glimpse
guess
the
it based on-
Impossible. Maybe I
Oh yeah, card isn't very good in Modern. That's fair.
So
That is some wild artwork on that card.
yeah, it's
Very cool
a
card.
cool card, and it's trading out a lot. Basking Brood Scale is another one trading out
Love
quite
that
a bit.
card. Fun fact for you about Glimpse the Impossible, I think is what it's called, right?
Yes.
It was featured prominently in the Ruby Storm deck, which had a 23% win rate at the Pro Tour.
Ooh.
23. That's good,
why
right?
Is it so bad?
It's the kind of deck where it's like really good when you're goldfishing, and if your opponents give any respect to it, it's just not very good. Can't really beat the card Draneth Magistrate because all of your cantrips impulse draw exile cards.
That's so funny.
It's like pretty bad against permanent hate and stack hate, and the best decks were faster combo decks in the form of Nadu and disruptive decks in the form of Jeskai Control.
Well, trading out more than this card was Disciple of Freyalis, which I believe we talked about 2 weeks ago, and Warehouse Tabby for some reason. I think it just might be one person buying a bunch of foil Warehouse Tabbies. Who knows? Cardsphere is still kind of a confusing market to me, but we have hired a couple of writers from MTGstocks to go ahead and make it less confusing. So what they have access to is custom reports from Cardsphere to help them write those articles. So thanks to Steve Heisler and Harvey McGinnis from MTGstocks for making Cardsphere a little less confusing.
My breaking bulk this week is an Outlaws of Thunder Junction Black Uncommon.
Is it kill spell with set mechanic?
No.
That's common. I
Is
don't
it-
know. OTJ.
Is it go
That's
blank
4
with set
sets ago.
mechanic?
It's not Mind Rot, which is Go Blank with set mechanic.
Wait, they just printed regular Mind Rot in this set?
No, Mind Rot. Go Blank is just Mind Rot, but it has extra text.
Yeah, but Mind Rot isn't the one that's worth something.
Siphon Mind is the one that's worth something.
Is it like a not dead after all with set mechanic?
No, it's not a feigned death.
Supernatural
evil.
stamina.
Yeah.
Um.
I'm gonna call it because you're not even
Yeah, I
close.
mean, yeah, you're good. You're good.
It's actually Entomb with set mechanic.
Entomb.
It's called Lively Dirge.
So
It is a
it's an
black and a
uncommon
colorless
Entomb?
with Spree.
Oh yeah.
For
this
an
one,
additional 1, you can Entomb. So for 3 mana, you can Entomb. Or for 5 mana, you can Entomb and reanimate 2 creatures with mana value 4 or less total from your graveyard. This card is a
Entomb and
buyless of 20 cents.
reanimate?
For 5 mana, you can search your deck for any card, put it in your graveyard, then shuffle your library, and then also return up to 2 creature cards with total mana value 4 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. This card is 20-cent buy list on card game.
I remember
What?
seeing this card on preview and thinking,
So it's
is this
Flash and
uncommon?
Hulk.
Kind of, yeah. This card's very strong.
Jesus.
It is mana intensive, it is restrictive in some ways, but also just like 3 mana for an extra Entomb is something that people are probably in the business of playing Commander, I feel like. This card also just finds like a 2 creature combo for 5 mana, puts it into play.
That's bizonkers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no arguments here.
It
As
finds
always, I am victorious and breaking
Phyrexian
bulk.
Dreadnought. You were victorious, you didn't guess mine.
Weird little data point is that the direct low on this card right now is $8, which I don't think is real because none have sold at that number.
Sure.
But there is always a chance that happens. I believe it's also because there's only
I used the cart
moderately-
optimizer. Now
Yeah,
I'm
there's
paying $8
only-
for one uncommon.
There's only moderately played copies on direct. LP copies are out of stock on direct, so I can't imagine that this sells at more than $1 or $2. But it is, yeah, that's still very good breaking bulk range of just this will be a very expensive card if it dodges.
But not, it'll be somewhere between 20 cents and $9. You heard it here first.
Thank you for the praise, DJ. I'm always very correct and very smart. Thank you. Speaking of people who are very correct and very smart, did y'all see that Simon Nielsen won the Pro Tour?
I did.
Did you see that Simon Nielsen won the Pro Tour wearing socks and sandals, which as a German is very offensive to me. That is, my culture is not a costume, Simon.
So last Pro Tour, Simon Nielsen did in top 8, and people were saying, this guy's washed, this guy sucks. So he had to win this one. That means 5 of the last 6 Pro Tours he's top 8'd, to be clear. That is a
So
Hall
why
of
not
Fame
6?
career and some more in a year.
Why not 6?
He was washed.
He was
for OTG,
washed.
I
He was
guess.
washed.
This is also notably the first Pro Tour that Fable of the Mirror Breaker was legal in the format and did not win since the printing of Fable of the Mirror Breaker. It has been in every single Pro Tour winning deck that it was legal in the format for since its release.
Cool format.
That is a neat
But now-
data point.
But now it's Nadu winning the Pro Tour. And speaking of Nadu, I sold my Shugos yesterday, and you probably should too. That deck is not long for this world.
Yeah,
As somebody
Why
who was
do
playing
they
it
keep-
before the P?
Can someone get hired to playtest Simic stuff and just say that should cost 4 or 5 mana? That's all you got to do. Just anytime someone hands you a 3 mana Simic Mythic, just go, that should cost 4 or 5 mana.
One,
Because
it's
that's a turn
was
2.
almost certainly playtested, and 3 was probably changed late in development. It like reeks of Skull Clamp issues.
Yeah.
Like there was something on that card that was fine, and they changed it with like not enough time to like actually patch it out, and it's just like there's 2 knobs you can turn that make it not f***ed, right? The fact that you can play a new Nadu to reset all of the triggers is annoying, way too good. The fact that it's 2 times per creature is just like I think it was probably supposed to be 2 times per turn,
Per Nadu, probably. Yeah, 2 times per
maybe
turn.
per Nadu, yeah. And like
I was buying a collection a week or 2 ago, and somebody had a really creative suggestion of this card should read other flyers you control have,
sure.
which gives it like a really neat build around potential commander, like all blue-green birds now, and I'm like, this gives me like, yeah, sure, I'm still Simic Dirtly Land.
And then you got to
to
play
there's an
weird
identity.
spirits that
Yeah.
aren't playable anymore in Modern. Yeah.
That would have been a modern Lingering Souls deck. That would have been kind of sick. 4-color Lingering Souls flyers, like
Right.
Or you add
It's
blue
like,
and
just
play.
fill the deck
Yeah.
completely, like...
The other thing about the Nadu though is like it is obviously the broken deck of the PT, but it's not the only broken deck. Noah Ma and Seth Manfield both top 8'd with variations on mono black Necro Dominance. Seth Manfield's list was playing 11 lands plus 12 MDFCs. His mana base was 3 Phyrexian Towers, 2 Urborgs, some Swamps, and then like all 8 copies of the new MDFCs and 2 some number of Agadeem's Awakening, and 4 Malakir Rebirth.
And then Soul Spike?
He was just yes. So it's like Soul Spike. So the core of the deck
amazing.
is Necrodominance and the One Ring as your broken draw engines. Soul Spike, March of Wretched Sorrow, and Force of Despair as your free spells. The Force from Horizons 1.
I would have to play Morsel Theft in that deck. It's not good. I would have to play it.
So,
The
do you know the card
card?
Force of Despair?
Wait, I just
It's
want to
like
know why is
from a-
Jason playing the Prowl card?
Because it drains life in black.
But how much mana does it cost?
Who gives a shit? You're a Necrodominus deck. You got an MDFC's out the ace.
You want to cast them from your hand
Yes,
on your instant before you discard.
I want to cast them. During my
Okay.
main phase, I want to hit them.
But you can't. You draw the cards on your end step and you have to discard down to 5 cards.
Listen.
That's the reason I'll...
Listen, I want to play the one black drain life that I know that isn't $40 yet.
Okay.
Oh, you're mean. Why don't you just play Corrupt? Ooh. Why don't they play Corrupt?
We're literally talking about the modern Pro Tour.
I want it
Jason.
to be 1998 again.
Okay, well, it's never going to be 1998 again. Your
Blockbuster
glory days are
style.
past you. You have peaked. You have 2 children.
You remember that deck though? It was like Skittering, Scourge, Persecute, and Corrupt, and that was all you needed. Ooh, Mono Black was. They were back like, you know what's really broken? Memory Jar. And by the way, Dark Ritual is common and in standard right now.
Okay. I do think it is very funny that Force of Despair dodged reprints in MH2.
Yeah. It was so
And-
unplayable.
Yeah, everyone cast it aside of just, oh, this card's whatever, blah, 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 but
It's really
now
good
it's
against Nadu.
$10. That is very funny, yeah.
I mean, One with Nothing was very good against Tigger. Like, everything is good. I'm surprised people are like, One with Nothing sucks, and then in the block format where people were playing that Owling Mind deck, like, that's when the only time that card was played was when it was legal in Standard. Was when that card got played the most, and everyone's like, that no one ever found a use for him. Like, what the f***? You had use day one. It's not getting killed by Ebony Owl Netsuke. Am I wrong? Whatever.
I always remember that in LSV's set reviews, he would refer to his ones as cards that might see play once upon a time or limited fodder. Example, One with Nothing, dubious tech at best, was always his description for it. And that's always, whenever I think of that card, I think of dubious tech at best.
Tech, yeah.
Yeah.
But like, Force of Despair is actually a card that I had been playing in Legacy from time to time in my sideboard against like Rhinos and like some of the more like creature heavy strategies, because it is just good if your opponent plays 3 or 4 creatures in a turn. And when the only thing that matters is mana efficiency because your card economy is solved by these broken draw engines, Force of Despair does a really good job of cleaning up the board. And like DJ said, that card is like $9 now. It has no reprints.
Yeah. And it was the most EDH-y on its face. If you look at it, people are like, oh, why didn't this like make them discard a card and you draw? It's like, oh my god, destroy all tokens that enter the battlefield this turn? Like, somebody Splinter Twins off or whatever? Like, it's so much better in EDH than it is in Modern. But nobody plays it in EDH, so what are you going to do?
I mean, the card kind of just like got dismissed immediately.
Yeah.
And seeing it played is really cool. It wasn't played in huge numbers. I think it was just like 2 of them. But I mean, I can imagine that once or twice, Seth Manfield's opponent like played a Nadu, put like 3 creatures into play, and then just like he Force of Despaired, and then the turn ended and he won because, you know, his opponent invested a bunch of cards into developing a board that just doesn't exist anymore.
That's wild.
The other cool thing about the deck is that it is just a 4 Shieldred deck. Because Shieldred Necrodominance and Shieldred One Ring are that good. But my favorite card in Seth Manfield's list is Shambling Ghast from AFR. It is a 1-mana 1/1 that when it dies, you either give target creature -1/-1 or make a treasure token. And you play it turn 1, you play Phyrexian Tower turn 2.
You sack it for
mana.
3 mana. Oh, 4 mana. Yeah, you have
So
from
you
your
play the
Swan
One
for the
Ring
turn.
or
That's
Shieldred.
That's
Or you can play Necrodominance, and with your 1 mana remaining, you can March of Wretched Sorrow for like 6. The only free spell he wasn't playing that he could have was Sickening Shoal, and I don't think he needs it. That deck to me is so sick. The problem
Sickening
is
Shoal is
deck,
it's like a bad dismember in that deck.
Right, but it's free, so it's like your life matters a lot. But March Directed Sorrow is a lot better.
Dismember is free,
to be sure. I will say the deck has bad aura though because it is still a grief scam deck. But as we talk about these broken decks from the PT, the first thing on my mind is the ban list update. Obviously, it's not happening this week. Everyone's still in Amsterdam. It probably won't happen next week. The first
everyone will be hungover from Amsterdam.
Right.
It's that Stella Artois. It's stronger over there. I don't know. I try to think of the worst beer that I could.
Stella's fine.
Is it?
It's acceptable.
It's better than Heineken, sure. Heineken tastes bad on purpose, as a joke on Americans.
What was I saying?
You were talking about how it was a grief scam deck, and everyone is not going to update the ban list because they're all in Amsterdam. And then next week, I said they'll be hungover from Amsterdam. Right. And then you said we did a riff. And then you're like, what was I talking about? And then I said...
The next scheduled ban restricted announcement is August 26th, which I believe is like 2 or 3 days before Modern RCQ season starts. So our Modern players just going to buy 4 Nadus and 4 Shukos and all that stuff just to like, get destroyed. Because like the deck can't be legal for long.
No.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think if you ban Nadu, you probably have to do something about the Grief deck. Like, the Necrodominance probably is the best deck in the format. Not to mention, how expensive does Soul Spike get? Like, copies sold for $100 the Sunday of the Pro Tour. That card is Cold Snap with no reprints. That card does not exist.
And it's weird
this is the third time I've made money on Soul Spike. I actually had none left because I was cackling like a madman for making $6 a copy 4 years ago or whatever.
Well, there's that, and then we've also this exact cycle of Cold Snap cards. All of them. What's the white one?
Sun Cleanse.
All of them except the white one have had their days in the sun cleanse. Yeah. But, so we've had, Allosaurus Rider, we've had, Commandeer, obviously, was really, really big for stealing the One Ring in Modern, and also just a good Commander card that had some eyes on after Commander Masters. Fury of the Horde enables some weird Narset things, and also just other infinite turns.
Yeah, Nihili, too,
Yeah. So, there's plenty of precedent for, there's no... oh no, you 3-for-1 yourself, but it's a free spell. When Cass said, the card economy becomes wildly imbalanced and everybody has 18 cards in their hand, that doesn't matter anymore. So,
Cass, can you name all 5 cards in the Force of Will cycle?
Bounty
no one can name the white one.
Pyrokinesis, Contagion, Force of Will, and I don't believe there's a white one. If there is, destroys an artifact or enchantment.
Scars of the Veteran.
Oh,
you can prevent up to 7 damage. And put
prevents damage, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's like a weird Shining Shoal. I wasn't gonna get the white one. Sorry.
Shining Shoal was. I don't know, man. I loved that card. I played that.
I love Shining Shoal
because it was really good in the matches where your Wrath of God was bad before you could sideboard it out.
So there is precedent for these very card intensive cards, for lack of a better term, card investment, just popping off. And so whatever the white one from Cold Snap does, whatever these other. Anytime they print a bad free spell like Force of Despair, this is some Finance 101 stuff, but those are always worth looking at when they hit bulk status of just, is this a Magic the Gathering card that can be cast for no resource investment in the mana system? Does it cost 3 creatures to sacrifice? Sure. Does it cost 8 life to play? Whatever. But, there's time and time again, we've seen, development will make choices that allow you to cast these cards and break that paradigm. So if you're looking for ways to pick up cards that are going to be good in the future, look at the things that let you cast broken spells for free or bad spells for free.
Yep. Or purple mana. Purple mana is the other one.
Yeah, anything that colorless matters stuff
Phyrexian mana. Any purple mana. Energy.
It's really interesting how one of the most broken cards in this PT does also involve a free resource. The card itself isn't broken, but Shuko being a free equip was a relevant part of that card.
Yes.
When a card has something that costs nothing, look at it a second time. Shuko is a card that has gone up in price multiple times over its tenure.
I'm glad we didn't have to play Outriders and Core in Modern.
We did. All the decks still played one.
They played Outriders? Oh, that's so funny.
We're calling into it and Cocoing into it, yeah.
Oh, okay,
partially because the card Karn exists. Karn the Great Creator just shutting off your Shukos, but I mean,
See, you can tell
any
I didn't
port in a storm.
pay attention to the coverage, but I do have a deep knowledge of Time Spiral Block.
I love Time Spiral Block Draft is one of the best like 3-set draft formats of all time. It's so
For
good.
sure.
My buddy and I
only-
got second at the GPT the PTQ that would have qualified us for the PT, but
Time Spiral is really cool in that you can play a draft of it, have a ton of experience with the set, and still see cards you've never seen before.
The sets were all very large.
and occasionally, if you play two-headed giant, you would get enough stuff to build a slivers deck, and that was
We just
very
put a
fun.
little asterisk next
Sliver
to Sprouts.
Kids.
Put a little asterisk next to Sprout Swarm, and then everything's fine.
The thing was, okay, so we're gonna deviate from the topic for a second. It's my turn. Sprout Storm was obviously, but people don't talk enough about how much Nakatl War Pride was just berserk good. It's a 6-mana 3/3.
Nobody plays it in EDH anymore.
Yeah, it makes a copy for each creature your opponents control, and they have to block. And you just kill the one that blocked the original, and you win the game.
But like, if you look at the EDH subreddit like 7 years ago, people were like, "Why the is nobody playing Nakatl War Pride? This card is cracked." And I hired writers, and I was like, "Hey, your whole job is to tell people about cards people aren't playing enough," and they did that job, and people read the articles, and still, nobody's playing Nakatl War Pride. It is a Magic card, and it's a cat.
It gives you a
Have you
lot
ever
of
gotten
cat
multiple?
ETB triggers, yes.
You ever gotten multiple of them and play at the same time?
Why, yes, I do play blue.
Yeah, it's sick. That card was so good and limited.
Flame
I'm sure it's
Shadow
also incredible in
Conjuring can
Commander.
make multiple. Yeah.
Yeah, Vesuvian Doppelganger did or whatever, or Vesuvian Shapeshifter did. And
But like nowadays, you get stuff like Garrett. You get so many ways to make a token copy of just any creature, and it's not legendary. The Kettle War
the other
Pride
thing
is a
was, like-
magic card.
I remember like seeing someone playing Commander and they like heat shimmered their Nakatl War Pride, and I'm like, that guy gets it.
Oh, I'm
Only
over
one
here.
reprint.
I'm
Only
over
one
here
reprint, by
kiki
the way.
jiking a zealous conscripts like a peasant. This guy's living in the year 3030. Heat
Yeah.
shimmering his War Pride.
No
That's
reprints, by the way,
EDH
except for
as-
the cat commander deck.
That makes sense.
It was in there. Okay, yeah.
With a normal
Is it-
border though, gross. Not a future side border. Ew.
No, it has a future side border.
Oh, good.
It's a list printing.
Good.
So it's
Oh,
just-
it was the cat Commander. You said cat. I think of Arabo, the World's
Yeah.
War.
Right.
You meant the cats and dogs Commander deck, the cat dog deck.
Yes.
Dogs and cats
Gotcha.
together, it'll be anarchy.
I believe it is from that. It says the list printing, so whatever.
The other big story from the PT that I want to touch on before we move on is the 8th player in the top 8, who the one hero who wasn't playing Nadu or Necro was Javier Dominguez, and his round 13 feature match result was overturned when his opponent was disqualified. Bart Van Eaton, someone who has a history of less than scrupulous play, had a 2/3 Nethergoyf that Javier was trying to kill with a Flayed trigger. Bart then plays Not Dead After All on his Nethergoyf, which would make it a 3/4 because there's now an instant in the graveyard, and then he returned it to play with the Wicked Roll token on it, which was relevant for the game. I believe this is the first time WotC has publicly, like, I know they've done it in the past, I think this is the first time they've made a statement about overturning a match result and granting match points to the other player, which to me is kind of encouraging. I think that's like the correct outcome there, especially if Bart was found to be cheating and disqualified. Something worth noting, not really relevant to Magic Finance, just, I'm on the podcast and I like
Sure. I will add one more story from the Pro Tour that is Pro Tour adjacent, I guess. But over the past month, roughly, the price of the One Ring, the regular booster pack, not bundle version, has close to doubled. And if you're like, wait, wasn't that like a $60 card? Yes. Copies are currently selling for around 120. Again, this is not the bundle version, which has a little bit more affordable.
People
but-
who are playing this competitively pay the money because they only buy one deck a year. So they have $2,000 to shell out for Magic every year, and they spend it all buying foils and so anybody who wants this is not going to balk at paying 120, and they need more than one.
Right, and I will harken back to our old grandpa and grandma days of $150 Tarmogoyfs, because that is kind of the precedent for this card. Is we in 2013 era we lived in this world where the gateway to modern was you pay your $500 to $600 for a playset of Tarmogoyfs, and that was your sort of rite of passage into playing whatever the money pile deck was at the time, be it Jund or Zoo or something like that, and like people are scrambling saying Modern can't survive without this card getting reprinted. This card needs to be reprinted for the health of the game, and like, do I think it needs a reprint? Yes. Do I think it's coming anytime soon? No. Will Modern die as a result of that? Also, no. This is a card with...
Okay, there's no more Legacy, basically. So anybody who was a Legacy sicko that was paying $500 for an Underground Sea to play Legacy events, there were no Legacy events when people were paying like $800 for Underground Sea. Like, those sickos now play Modern because that's like the sicko format. So that's not going to scare people away from Modern. You're not going to ruin Modern with like one $200 card that people need as a 3 or 4 of.
It's also like, this card might not have long for Modern. The kind of the worst case scenario is that it keeps going up and then it gets banned.
Yes. Tarmogoyf was never really in that ban conversation. This one certainly is.
Tarmogoyf was a creature with no evasion. It was like,
had
I'm a 7/8
abilities.
for 2 mana, and everyone's like, a 7/8 for 2 mana? Oh my god. That's crazy. And now if you
Tarmogoyf
printed
only
like
has
a
3
2 mana
abilities.
7/8, people wouldn't play it.
It can attack, it can block, and it sits in play. The One Ring has like 11 abilities. It can draw you any card in your deck.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like-
And I mean, I know we've talked about this on the podcast before, but one of the other problems with the One Ring and how it functions in a marketplace is it gets exported a lot. A lot of these were getting bought by vendors to bring overseas to Amsterdam and sell to European players there because they knew that this card fetched a higher price over there because there's fewer bundles or it's just a metagame choice or whatever reason there is, but like these get shipped off overseas in both directions, and then those copies don't really come back into the US marketplace. They don't just find their way to the LGS binder and get listed on the TCG player and have this race to the bottom. Like, the One Ring is a $110, $120 card. It might be $150 by the end of the year, and I mean, do we get like a weird universes within variant where it's like,
Maybe.
this is technically the One Ring, but you can't play more than 4 of Rick and 4 of whatever Rick's other
But what's the
version
time
is?
period of it going from 60 to 120?
A year,
About a
roughly.
month.
Like, the card came out... Oh, from
It was
60 to
like-
120. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
About
even if they
2 months.
noticed when
Month
it
and a
was
half, 2 months.
60, it's going to be a year or two before they can slot it into anything unless they're doing some secret layer or...
It's also possible there's just like a contractual issue that they can't print another One Ring for a certain amount of time.
Yes, that was the other thing I was going to bring up, is just any sort
Who's
of...
going to enforce that? Saruman?
Jeff Bezos, who owns Lord of the
Lawyers.
Rings. Amazon.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to talk about
Who are we to fight, Jeff
because
Bezos or
Christopher
Mark
Leaf
Rosewater?
rules, dude. I just wanted to talk about Saruman because he would have been
That's
like,
fair.
So, like...
yeah, someone's reprinting the One Ring. Let's f***ing send Nazgul to attack them. That'd be sick. Pinkertons? That's a little Outlaws at Thunder Junction. I want them to send the Nazgul to people who... And I'm not saying that because multiple EDH rec preview cards have been spoiled by some with a cell phone. I'm just saying you don't have to send the Pinkertons more than once. You send a Nazgul, they stab him with that blade that just like makes him turn all black and
It's the Morgul knife.
yeah, but I was describing it because it's funnier. Whatever.
It's a shadow
Anyway,
spear.
I know what it is. It's a shadow spear. Yeah, you stab him with that shadow spear, you gain some life. Biggada baggada boom. What are they gonna be like? Oh, a ghost came into my house through the wall and stabbed me with a knife that turned to dust. And they're like,
If you gain
sure,
nothing,
that happened.
If you gain nothing else from this podcast, you gain the joy of watching Jason's joke get shadow speared.
I
It no longer has hexproof or indestructible.
First strike. I need ward on my jokes. The ward cost is you have to be coming in with a tag, not an interruption. If you're coming in with a tag, come in peace, but don't interrupt my jokes.
Have you considered doing the same for us?
What? Not interrupting people?
Yeah.
No.
Hell yeah, brother. Classic male behavior.
Hey, what if you stop doing the one thing you do on the podcast?
It's called having range, Hunty.
Don't talk to me about range. I can do all kinds of offensive accents.
Who wants to pick a week?
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
July 22nd, because it's not too hot and you can wear a jacket.
I'm kind of feeling like an early November, like it's cold, but it's not like so cold. Like it's still kind of like a little autumnal, not fully winter.
What'd you think of it, Cass? November 9th is my birthday.
You know what? The week of November 9th? That's my pick. That's my pick week this week. This is the week I'm picking for this week.
It's
Next
a
week I might
Saturday.
pick a different week.
It's a Saturday birthday too this year.
That's a good.
It's
Saturday
9/11
birthday.
in Europe. So 9/11 to Europeans.
You know it's called the Blitzkrieg?
There was a blitzkrieg in Europe?
Alright. I've got a unique pick of the week, I think. I'm gonna do something unusual and pick a card from a set that is not out yet. I am picking Bureau Headmaster from the starter decks of Assassin's Creed. This is a uncommon card from the starter decks only that is a red-white grizzly bear that makes all of your equipment, spells, and activated abilities cost one less.
I had to scroll down a really long way on EDA Trek to find this card. It's in 169 decks.
The card technically isn't out yet.
Fewer than
this is a
Hookblade
committee-
Veteran.
The committee does not recognize the validity of your claim. However, the market does. Does that make sense?
Well, it's in more decks than the Capitolone Triad, which is like my favorite card from the
It's
set.
the
so who
Capitoline.
knows? What?
It's the Capitoline triad, like the
Nah,
Capitoline
it's
wolves, like the founders of Rome,
Capitolone.
like Romulus and Remus.
I was trying to... I don't know. My favorite genre of TikTok is people that pronounce things wrong, like Becomini Anonymous. And you mean become anonymous?
I am picking this card not because I think it is exorbitantly powerful, but I do think it will have very, very, very low supply, unless these starter decks are super, super, super printed and open to oblivion, which I don't think will happen. What I expect
In which case, it's a mythic, right?
Right, it's a super mythic at that point.
If it's one per product, it's not an uncommon.
Right, and I do think that this is the kind of card that will release, go to $1 after large stores crack and list the available product they opened, and then it is very hard for these to come back into the marketplace. And this is the kind of card like Creeping Bloodsucker from Jumpstart 2022, where we look at it a year later and it's like, wait, this is a $10 common. Like, this is that kind of card, I think, because it's going to go into almost every Boros equipment deck, which is every Boros deck.
Well, the pre-sale price, if you look at EDH Rec right now, the Card Kingdom price is listed as 35 cents. The TCG player price is listed as $3.69, which means Card Kingdom listed it for 35 cents as a pre-sale card, sold out of their allotment, the amount they thought they were going to get, so fast they didn't relist it at a higher price and list more. TCG player, there are 3 people currently selling this for $3.69 pre-sale. So anything cheaper than $4, people are like, maybe not. But like, people are willing to pay up to $4 for this uncommon pre-sale, knowing that it's going to come as a known quantity in a product they can go out and buy. So that tells me that like this is sold out and been repriced on TCG player a lot.
For what it's worth, there are 3 of them in the starter deck.
Oh, there are 3 in the starter deck. Well, Mama Pajama, I'm not saying that it's 35 cents or $4. I'm just saying that it has been sold out and relisted multiple times on TCG Player. So when you see high pre-sale prices with low seller volume, it means that people have been... It's like, you know what? I'm fine locking in on 4 copies of this at $2 each or whatever. So
that is to say, I think that because there are 3, and that is something that like DJ, someone who's very savvy, didn't think to look up. Like, there was a real potential that you could just buy these on day one, crack them, sell your 3 copies, get $6 out of them, and then everything else is like... Or you know what I'm saying? Like, if these are worth cracking, like, factor that into the math, right?
Yes.
It just seems like every card in this set is just busted. It's just, it's one of the, I don't know, it's one of the better products they've done with no full set treatment.
It's really funny how, like, I don't disagree with your statement. These cards are probably very good in Commander. Every person I know talks about this stuff. They're like, every card in this set sucks because it's Modern legal for some reason. Like, none of these cards are good in Modern.
No.
And it's so strange they made this product Modern legal and then didn't put any good Modern cards in it, which, like, probably is the best case scenario, but also it's just weird, you know?
I don't think Modern players want to play Universes Beyond anyway.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like,
Like,
okay,
then why
I'll play
make a Modern
Delver
legal
of
at all?
Secrets, and oh, look, it's the Thanos' snap is an instant. I flip my Delver. I don't know. Right?
It's what I'm saying.
Is it
It's
just me?
weird that, like, nobody wins in this situation, right?
Yes.
Like, a Modern player doesn't want to have to play against Ezio, might have to play against Ezio. A Commander player who doesn't want their product to get eaten by Modern players gets their product eaten by Modern players. Like, who wins in this case?
Why would a
It's just, like,
Commander
no one.
player care if Modern players eat their product, though?
Commander players love to complain about how expensive cards are.
Oh, okay. I'm aware of that, I guess, but like, I don't know. It's in a sealed product. I don't know. They're dumb.
I've seen people be cranky about it. You'd be surprised people complain about it online.
I actually
Et cetera,
am
et cetera.
surprised that I even questioned you because I have been on the internet.
Which is to say that I'm very right always. Thank you. Thank you, Jason. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. I can't refute it.
I got a little 2-for-1 pick of the week. One of them is like a real pick of the week, and one of them is a card that has... It's worth nothing, and it probably will continue to be worth nothing in perpetuity, but there's a chance.
Sounds like you have one pick of the week.
It's like a pick of the week and then a penny stock.
A penny
you know?
stock. Okay, cool. Let's do it.
So my real pick of the week is Guide of Souls. Cards kind of hit a low. It has like a $5 direct premium. It's like $3 normally, about $5 on direct, give or take a buck either way. It was a part of Ken Yukihiro's Mardu Energy deck that looked really strong. And at this point, I'm kind of betting on Modern cards that are good after Nadu and maybe Grief leave the format. And I think that Mardu Energy deck with Ragavan, Guide of Souls, Amped Raptor, Chthonian Nightmare, and Najani is one of the stronger things to be doing. Watching him play on stream, I watched him sacrifice an Ajani to Chthonian Nightmare to bring back an Ajani, which flipped the Ajani because of the legend rule. So I sacrificed a token to bring back an Ajani. Deal 7 to them with Ajani's 0 ability, and then do it again. Just like 14 to his opponent out of nowhere. And that to me, and Guide of Souls is a really key part of this deck because it lets you gain life and energy and also lets you jump your Ragavan for flying. A card has a lot of upside, especially when another rare in this set like Nadu gets axed and potentially leaves room for there to be value in the set elsewhere. My penny stock is Pollen Shield Hair because it's a cute creature type, which is what I'm referring to all of the Bloomburrow creature types as, is a cute type. Is good with tokens, which is a main theme in Bloomburrow, and also is a card I played with in Standard this year that really impressed me with its adventure side, hair raising.
Hair raising.
Copies are, it's fully a bulk rare. You can buy 1,000 of them for super cheap if you wanted to. I'm not going to do it necessarily, but I do like this card. I think this card is strong, and I think that it synergizes well with everything we've seen from Bloomburrow, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was part of a good Standard deck.
Do you know if you only eat rabbit, you will die? Just if you're going to do any hair raising, you should know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's 'cause
neither
it
did
doesn't have
Jordan
all the-
Peele.
Doesn't have all the nutrients in it you need or something.
Is that a thing that happened to people? Like they just ate only rabbit and nothing else?
Yeah, poor
Well,
people.
yeah, like if you're
Just eat some grass.
Hey, listen, historically, we know about diseases that like affect people that don't get enough something in their diet by like looking at people who didn't get enough of that thing in their diet.
I feel like you just eat some tree bark if you're feeling sick after eating only rabbit.
That has mild analgesic properties and only from like birch trees. You can't just
I'm
eat
not a
like
doctor, folks.
oak bark.
didn't know.
Well, luckily, I am a doctor, so I know about the healing properties of birch bark.
I did know that you can only eat potatoes and survive. Like a potato has everything you need.
I don't believe it's just potatoes. I think it's potatoes and beans. Potatoes are very close to being nutritionally complete.
You
I
need
believe.
vitamin K.
I think
you
that might
get
be what
from
was missing.
lettuce.
I would prefer to just chill medical misinformation on this podcast.
Oh man, why don't we why haven't we pivoted to being a
we
right
get
wing
sponsored?
podcast, but only for the sponsors? Like, hey, this podcast is brought to you by Gold, regular old Gold.
This
Just buy
podcast is
some
brought to you by
Gold.
Rhino Dick Pills.
You know when when you pivot from denying climate change is real to being the only person prepared for climate change, you'll be glad you have the gold bar to like slice a little piece off with a knife and give to a guy for clean water. Or most likely you're buying bullets to go get clean water for free at gunpoint. But no matter how you're handling the climate apocalypse that you always denied, but again, were the only person in your neighborhood prepared for, because you stockpiled bullets and water and food, and everyone else is like, my iPad doesn't work. I guess I don't get paid by my job. And then they die in the fetal position, so you can take all their provisions. You'll be glad you invested in basic gold. This podcast is sponsored by gold. Nobody paid us because who is gold? They can't pay us to promote them because it's a metallic element from the periodic table. Gold. Your source of gold.
Your source of Aztec rituals.
This bit is lingering. Speaking of lingering, the song Linger by the Cranberries, the song Zombie by the Cranberries. I was at a sushi place last night, all-you-can-eat sushi restaurant, and they were playing a Nightcore cover of Zombie by the Cranberries, and I just want to say, whoever was DJing at that sushi restaurant, give them a raise. How was that for a transition, Jason? It f***ing sucked.
You just said somebody should give a person's playlist a raise.
The person who picked the playlist, I assume someone who works in the restaurant, maybe the hostess, she seemed hip.
Hip?
She
Is
seemed
Nightcore
hip.
covers of Cranberry songs considered hip? Is that what the...
To me it is.
That's hap. That's like beyond hip. That's hap. All the hep
actually
cats are
pronounced
listed in Nightcore.
Schloink.
My pick of the week is a book called The Book of Exalted Deeds. It was a promo, which is the only reason this card's under $10 if you can ask me. This card is absurd. Get them under $5. They're still under $5. Like, lightly played foils are still under $5. The foil price is not that far away from the non-foil price. Book of Exalted Deeds is busted. It makes Angel say that you can't lose the game. Do EDH players like Angels? Why, yes, they do, and they always play them. And sometimes people play only Angels decks.
People also like putting that enlightened counter on Mutavaults.
Or Faceless Haven.
Yeah.
And people in Toby, Beastie Befriender, which is one of two legendary creatures we've had revealed from the house that murders people, or whatever this stupid set's called. The Stranger Things set, where like the alternate art looks like one of those fake iPad programs that the fake ghost hunters have. Is that what we're doing? We're doing A&E's Ghost Hunters, the set. Wild.
It's actually 80s horror, and you're kind of being a hack right now, so let's fucking cut that.
I'm being a hack by on their hack poltergeist set about all right, whatever. Anyway, Toby, Beastie Befriender, which looks exactly like the little girl and monster from Monsters, Inc., because I'm the hack. Book of Exalted Deeds will slot right into that deck, too. So, if you're making angel tokens, like I know you are because you're playing mono white and EDH, and making angel tokens is the only way you can win the game, get yourself a Book of Exalted Deeds. They make it so you can't lose. You can't lose with this spec. Yeah, that's the quote. You can't lose with this spec. Don't explain what I mean by that. The title of the episode is the title of the episode is the spec you can't lose with.
That is some...
That's the title.
That is some good clickbait.
JJ?
And then it's just me going, like, how do I lose? I don't know how to lose.
And we have
how do you lose with this spec?
You pointing like a neon sign that spells out the word hack pointing at you.
God, seeing the dumb, exaggerated faces people do for...
It works, though.
I never want to be good at YouTube. I'm not. I never will be, but I never want
to. I agree with that, for sure.
Here's my spec this week.
If you want to ruin Jason's life and make him good at YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the podcast at youtube.com/Brainstorm Brewery. Every like is just the death by 1,000 cuts in his tiny little soul fragment.
Hey, also, like 11 people watch this on YouTube and 10 of those 11 people are not subscribed, please subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe. They don't have to watch this bullshit podcast. I don't care if they watch it or not. Subscribing helps us. Watching helps us, but subscribing without watching helps us too. Hack people. Tell your friend, like, hey, can I look at something on your phone? Can I use your phone to make a phone call? And then go to YouTube and go to our
It's not
page.
hacking, that's social engineering.
It's a prank.
All hacking is social engineering.
But not all social engineering is hacking. It's a square rectangle situation, Jason.
You know how my wife's like major 25 hospital system got hacked? Somebody clicked on a link in a phishing email because like you don't it's like everybody's showing hacking is like a dude like, oh, I need to access the mainframe. No, you know how you hack? You put a rootkit on a USB drive and leave it in a parking lot. And inevitably, someone will be like, ooh, free USB drive. Let me see what's on here. And they'll put it on the computer, and then you own an entire network. Like, nobody needs to do that. Oh, just let me type to rotate this 3D cube of glowing green blocks to put the last pick in place with my typing while a girl blows me or whatever. Stupid hacking bullshit. No, you put it on a thumb drive, dog.
Jason, turn off NCIS.
Jason, you are correct. However, all the things we see in media like that are references to the film Hackers, and so I can't be mad at it.
Well, nobody
Hackers
ever talks
did
about
just invent that shit.
no one has talked about the Gibson since the 90s. I don't even know what the Gibson is anymore. It's a guitar place. They make guitars in Kalamazoo. I don't know why you want to hack a guitar place. It's a forensic science testing lab now, by the way. Why you want to hack them? Oh, to get everyone's DNA. That's why we hacked the Gibson. All right, I figured it out.
If you want my DNA, be sure to subscribe to this podcast on YouTube.
And you will.
Just leave that hanging as it should, I guess.
Our new merch is sponsored by MeUndies. Get a pair of soiled undies from your favorite cast member. Or Corbin.
I don't think we can afford that.
We can't afford it?
MeUndies can't afford it.
We're just
MeUndies
gonna
I know
can
my
afford
worth.
it.
We'll just buy
MeUndies can afford it.